The year was 2150, and the Earth was a shadow of its former self. The once thriving human race was on the brink of collapse, not from natural disasters or alien invasions, but from a war that had been brewing for over a century, a war between men and women. What began as a cultural divide had escalated into a full-blown gender war, and the consequences were catastrophic. The roots of the conflict could be traced back to the early 21st century during the COVID-19 pandemic. The world had been brought to its knees, and in the aftermath, societal tensions began to rise. The pandemic had exposed deep-seated inequalities, and the debate over gender roles intensified. Women, who had long fought for equal representation, began to demand more power, more control, and more recognition. Men, on the other hand, felt threatened. They believed that women were overstepping their boundaries, and the rise of what they called toxic feminism only fueled their resentment. As the years passed, the divide grew wider. Women began to dominate the workforce, the government, and the military. Advances in technology and medicine had given women more control over their bodies, and the population began to shift. By 2100, women outnumbered men, and they used their newfound power to reshape society. Men, once the dominant force, were relegated to the margins. They were expected to stay at home, perform heavy labor, and remain subservient. The roles had reversed, and men were now the ones fighting for equality. But not all men were content with equality. Some wanted to reclaim the power they had lost, and they began to organize. Underground movements sprang up, advocating for the return of male dominance. These groups were filled with rage, and their rhetoric was toxic. They saw women as the enemy, and they were willing to do whatever it took to regain control.